This is Vicki Spray with EvolveTalk. I'm so glad you're here with us today. We have been so fortunate to have Dr. Will Tuttle come in. He's on tour, and he was at the UU Church last night, and we called him, and he said, yes, I'll come and talk about what his work is. Thank you very much for coming in. I'm very glad you're here.
Thank you, Vicki. I'm delighted to be here.
It's an amazing work you're doing. You know, EvolveTalk is about changing the world through consciousness and through all the modalities. And here you are. Have you written a book?
Right, the World Peace Diet?
Yeah, the World Peace Diet. Yes, and I love this title, the World Peace Diet, Eating for Spiritual Health and Social Harmony. Right up EvolveTalk's aisle, right here.
This is the audiobook version, and the basic idea in the World Peace Diet, it's really looking deeply into our culture and the way our culture's program is injected into us as children. Many aspects of that are not in our best interests.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with desensitizing ourselves so that we can participate in rituals. The anthropologists understand that the most powerful rituals in any society are the meals. And so all of us are participating in mealtime rituals which are not in our best interests. They tend to not only create ill physical health, but what I discovered in my research is that they tend to suppress our natural intelligence, wisdom, and compassion, and the sacred feminine. And so what really the World Peace Diet is about is the reawakening of Sophia, the sacred feminine, in our society, and looking with new eyes, well, actually looking with our real eyes, our true eyes, coming back home to our heart, and seeing beings when we see beings rather than seeing things when we see beings. And so that's the basic idea. We're taught through, ritually to disconnect from the beings that we're eating, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the pigs, cows, chickens, turkeys, ducks, geese, fish, and so forth, fishes. And so to begin to see these beings as beings, to let them live their lives, and to move toward a more kind and compassionate, sustainable, and just way of living and eating. One of the words that's really used for it typically is veganism. To me, the idea is an ancient spiritual idea. I was a Zen monk in Korea, and I used to teach world religions at the college level, comparative religion, and there's a fundamental teaching at the core of all the world religions. A lot of it has to do with I think, what EvolveTalk is all about, the idea that we are essentially infinite consciousness. Now, what we are essentially was never born and will never die. We'll have a physical vehicle that we use for a while to experience the world and to express ourselves, and to, I think all of us, I think, have a mission.
Yes.
We're here for a purpose. We're not just here to make some money and dominate and exploit others and get what we can and then die. We're here to grow, to love, to contribute, to wake up spiritually.
Yes.
But we discover, I think, many of us don't actually realize it, that we're born into a society that in many ways hijacks that whole thing, so that we will be obedient consumers of products and of information, of news, so-called, that keeps us in fear and keeps us competing with each other and exploiting other beings. And of course, non-human animals are the ones that are the most defenseless.
That's right.
And so now I think we're reaching a point, Vicki, where there's just this massive devastation to ecosystems, to the oceans, to rivers, to climatic stability, to rainforests. And what I have discovered in my research is that the driving force behind not only the outer devastation in our world, like we're cutting down an acre per second of rainforest to grow soybeans to feed to cows and pigs and chickens and fishes. We're overfishing the oceans, we're destabilizing the climate, we're doing these huge monocropping to grow feed for animals while people are going hungry. They could eat that food. That causes war and conflict. We have slaughterhouse workers with the highest rates of suicide and drug addiction because they're stabbing animals all day. This creates webs of trauma throughout our society. We have people eating saturated fat, cholesterol, and acidifying animal protein, which are the leading causes of diabetes and obesity and heart disease and kidney disease, cancer, and breast and prostate, colon cancer, and liver disease and autoimmune disease. All these things are linked with these kinds of foods. But beyond that, we see that actually eating animal foods and being forced into it, because no one chooses to do it freely. We're doing it just because, this is what our culture tells us we have to do from the time we're little infants.
Right.
It actually...
The sleepwalking life.
It is. It's kind of this hypnotic trance that we don't realize we're in a hypnotic trance, but in many ways we are. And so the underlying message in the World Peace Diet is that the inner landscape of our consciousness is profoundly affected by, unfortunately, by participating in these mealtime rituals of eating the flesh of tortured animals and their secretions, and not only eating it, but voting for it, making it happen, taking my wallet, saying, I want to do it, kill an animal for me. But I don't want to think about it, don't tell me. Right. So we very deeply just kind of shut down. When someone says, well, would you like to know where your bacon comes from? The person very often will say, no, don't tell me, I want to enjoy my bacon, just leave me alone, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. But what you're talking about with EvolveTalk, and I think what hopefully everyone who is listening is motivated by, is that we do want to know, we do want to grow, we do want to become more aware, we do want to, in a sense, contribute to a world that is maturing spiritually, where we're aware of the ramifications of our choices and our actions. And so then I think we're ineluctably drawn to awakening out of this trance and beginning to realize that actually all of us have been given the gift of a physical body, a physical vehicle, that does not require any animal to suffer to get the nutrients that we need to be healthy, to thrive. But all of us have been born into a society where we've been forced from the time we're tiny infants to take that gift we've been given by the creator of this benevolent creator of this beautiful universe, and throw it right back into his or her face and say, well, we're going to stab animals anyway. It's not a choice we freely make. We just do what we're told to do. We're just kind of following orders. Unfortunately, we have blinders on. We just follow those orders. But people are
waking up, like you. So, and this type of work wakes people up, and so you're getting it. You have an audience out there. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah, this audience is waking you up, or waking the world up.
Yeah.
It's in their own way, and you're waking them up, and there just seems to be this amazing thing happening. When you were raised in your family, did you hear the word vegetarian much?
That's a great question. I love that question because I never heard the word vegetarian, and I grew up actually in Concord, Massachusetts, eating the usual meals, lots of meat and dairy. And when I was 7 years old, I said to my mother, I was just wondering, I said, Mom, the kind of food we're eating, is that what everybody eats? And my mother just said, yes, this is what everybody eats. And then she came back a few minutes, I said, okay, thanks, and she left, and she came back a few minutes later, and she just said to me, actually, there are vegetarians. I'd never heard that word in my life. And then she said, but don't worry, you'll never meet one. She said, they're hypothetical people. She didn't say that. She said, I've never met one, so you'll probably never meet one.
Fantasy world.
But the impression I got was that these people live very far away, like in some other planet, and that they're sort of hypothetical people, because she said, I don't know where they get their protein.
which is always the argument, right?
Which is always the argument. It's either where do they get their protein, or if they don't eat dairy, where do they get their calcium?
Right.
And the whole other story is, well, humans are superior, so we can do whatever we want to these animals.
Right.
So the irony is, which I think is very beautiful, which is that my mother is now 86 years old. She actually moved out here to Florida and to retire, and she is living in the community, and she's the only vegetarian in the community. In fact, she's a vegan, and she's the only one that's not taking any drugs, pharmaceuticals, that's still running around biking and playing tennis and everything else. And my wife Madeline's mother, is 96 years old, I think, 95, and she's also a vegan.
Wow.
And my little sister, who I had to feed when I was a kid, see, this is the thing, my mother said, well, feed your little sister, and when I was maybe 6, she was maybe 2, she was sitting in the high chair, and she said, make sure she eats her protein, And that was always the problem, because she would kept spitting it out, I'd make it like an airplane, here comes the protein, and she'd go, she'd spit it out, and I was like, and I thought, oh no, she's going to die of a protein deficiency. So I was forcing it down her throat, gotta eat.
She's going to therapy today because of her.
Well, the thing that's nice is that she eventually also has become a vegan, and her daughter has become a vegan, and her daughter's 2 kids are vegan from birth. So we have 4 generations of vegans. So
this is how it works,
to me,
right? This is how it's
what you're saying.
This is how it happens.
It's just a matter of making an effort to understand. And that's one of the points I make in the lectures. Madeline and I are on a lecture tour right now. And actually, we lived for 17 years in an RV, have solar panels on the roof, traveling around North America for 17 years without a home. And we just recently got a house in California, so now we're doing shorter tours, like we're doing about an 80-day tour right now. But the thing that I think we've understood is that this idea of veganism as we've traveled has really started taking hold. And it's beautiful to see that as people begin to move toward a plant-based diet for health reasons, for environmental reasons, for ethical reasons, for kindness, compassion, for spiritual reasons, they begin to see that there's a huge mandala of interconnectedness and beings that we're all affecting, and everything when we act with kindness and love toward others, it affects everyone in a positive way. And in a sort of selfish way, it comes back to us. We find our lives become more abundant, more happy, more healthy, more filled with wonderful people. And as soon as we start, I'm going to eat this, I don't care, I'm going to do that, we find, oh God, we get sick, we take drugs, we get alcohol, we have, people don't like it, we cause conflict, and it'll come back. So the idea is, I don't do it for that reason, but the basic teachings of all the religions, as you sow, so shall you reap. And if you want to put out violence and terror and fear and feed it to your children and eat it yourself, how are we going to create a world of joy and peace and freedom and abundance if we do that? But we can. This earth is incredibly abundant.
And we are.
It's happening. That's the beauty. There is an awakening happening.
There is.
I really feel that 2015 is a year already. We're just kind of starting off, but that this time we're in, the momentum is really building.
I agree.
In a positive way.
I completely agree. And it's person by person, community by community, book by book, audio tape by audio tape, video by video. It's
conversation by conversation.
Conversation by conversation.
Right. Yeah, that's really what it's conversations, examples.
And the paradigm has changed a little bit. In the days that we were being introduced to yoga and meditation, it wasn't taught like, if you don't do yoga, you're not going to be peaceful and you're not going to be, it wasn't taught with that. It was taught with just the opposite.
Right.
When you do yoga, you feel more peaceful.
Right.
And so look at what our Western culture has happened. We meditate and we have yoga. and so I think same thing with the health and the eating. If we're a little bit more soft, and even though it's difficult to be soft when the rainforest is being destroyed, it's very hard not to go to that route. But that's the other thing that I'm seeing in our change is, we are waking up. Let's feed that. We're waking up, and we're kind of slow. We're a little resistant. we like our comfort, but we are waking up. It is happening, and that's one of the reasons I so appreciate your work. And I wanted to get you in here because you're doing exactly what's changing this world. And so thank you.
Right. I think we have a tendency, just being born in this society, we have a tendency to want to sort of either manipulate the situation to make it the way we think it should be right. So a lot of people go vegan, and then they get through the initial stages of confusion. It's difficult, and working with it, and then they get really angry, And I went through that stage because you say, gosh, here I am doing the best I can to live a life of kindness and compassion. I tell people about it, they don't listen to me. The forests are being, like you say, destroyed. The oceans I have to pay a lot more money in prices and insurance because all these people are sick all the time, because they want to eat meat and dairy. It's like secondhand smoking. And now we have secondhand eating. Secondhand smoke really hurts people. Well, eating meat and dairy is not something. It's not a free choice. I'm just going to eat some meat. That has terrible negative effects on animals, ecosystems, hungry people, other people. It really hurts the world. So I think, as vegans, we can tend to get angry, but I think what we need to do is get beyond that stage to the stage where what I refer to actually in my writings as deep veganism, where we're basically connecting with ahimsa. We're connecting with nonviolence and satyagraha, Gandhi's idea of truth force. The idea that we're living in alignment with the Dharma, which is the way the universe is. We're living in alignment with the fact that all living beings are interconnected. The interconnected web of life. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. So if we want to have a beautiful, loving, healthy, free, creative, caring, celebratory life, it's entirely possible for us as human beings. And we're responsible to each other to help make that happen. And as each one of us awakens a little bit, we make it easier for other people to awaken.
Absolutely.
So that's the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to others, is the effort of awakening. To make the effort to question the official stories of our culture that are toxic and devastating, and to realize, like, for example, yoga, the very first of the 8 limbs of yoga is ahimsa. So it's not just some kind of Indian calisthenics, athletic exercise to be, stand on your head and put your foot over behind your head and whatever. It's really about living a deeper experience of a human, of being a human that is in harmony with the world. And that's one of the reasons I think why the World Peace Diet is now required reading for many yoga teacher training programs.
Really?
I would say there's like a lot of different yoga teacher training programs. Sharon Gannon's, the Jiva Mukti and World Peace Yoga in Cincinnati, and there's a whole big movement in LA. Anyway, there's lots of yoga teachers who require the World Peace Diet, because if we really want to be teaching harmony, we have to understand the deeper principles of compassionate and creative and liberating ways of living.
Yes,
that's it.
I love that you confessed to being angry and knowing about anger, and also that you knew what the next stage was. And evolution is about stages. It's the law of stages. And I can't have attachment to how fast or how slow we go. I just have to pay attention to that we're going.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, you have that perspective, I think, because you have questioned the official story of our society. It's basically, we're taught that this is the one life we have, kind of like, we're just here.
Get all you can.
Get what you can, do it, and this is it. And if we destroy everything, it's that, whatever. But I think the bigger picture, that we don't want to lose the immediacy. I mean, there is an immediacy to the situation, but I think when we realize at a deeper level that we're born here, when we got here, this culture was already a warlike, patriarchal, violent world. I mean, that's what we're born into. And so we have 60, 80, 100, 150 years, however long you think you're going to live. We have some time here to use those few years that we have in the most productive way. And I think the most productive way, essentially, is to awaken internally to the truth that we are, so that when we speak about these ideas, our words have weight with people, because we're living it.
Yes.
See, what I've seen, this is what I'm trying to help with the vegan movement, and trying to show what's called now intersectionality. The intersectionality of the different human justice movements. For example, we have racism and sexism and heterosexism and ableism and classism and environmental devastation and world hunger and all these injustices that people are working to try to remedy. And we also have speciesism, or what I refer to as herderism, which is this whole mentality of owning animals as property, enslaving them, and mutilating them, and eating them. But to see how these are all interconnected, and it's that one underlying mentality. And the healing really is a healing that comes not so much from trying to fix the outer world and make everybody be happier and treat each other better. No, it's really about each one of us, as Gandhi said, being the change that we would like to see in the world, and then being an example of that. And I think when we create justice movements that are not based on adversarial, like you're the bad one, and we're the good one. No, it's really
that's a bad setup.
It is, but that's how we've always done it.
It's true, but that's changing.
So that's what's changing, and that's a powerful change. We have to realize that that I'm called to live what veganism is. So that means when I'm listening to someone and they say, well, you eat, like if we didn't eat all the cows, they take over the world, or something like that. Instead of going, you idiot, say, I love that question. That's a great question. Let's think about that. So if we didn't eat cows, then we wouldn't have to raise all these cows. We wouldn't have to breed all these cows. If we didn't have to breed all these cows and pigs and chickens, we wouldn't have to feed all these cows and chickens. We'd have to feed all these, and then we could allow the forest to come back, and we could feed everyone on a fraction of the land. We could have rainforests and oceans, and we could have a beautiful world. And so see everything as an opportunity to connect and share, rather than as a confrontation. And I think to just value the precious opportunity we have as a human being.
Indeed, and you are doing that. So. Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you very much for coming in here this morning. welcome. Have a wonderful time on the rest of your tour. It's raining here in Tallahassee, but we needed it, so we thank you.
Be grateful. I'm telling you, living in California
Oh
now,
my goodness, yes.
we would love to have
Yes.
some rain because
Yes.
the climate is destabilizing, it seems, and so we can't keep taking and abusing and stabbing the earth. We're really called to respect her and the fragility of the web here.
Yes.
And so I think we're getting these reminders, and each one of us makes a huge difference.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
the basic idea. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it very much. And again, this is Will Tuttle, Dr. Will Tuttle, the World Peace Diet, eating for spiritual health and social harmony.
Right, and the book is available as a regular book on Amazon or from us or any bookstore, as also as an audiobook. It's been translated now, I think, into 14 or 15 languages.
Wow.
It's become a worldwide, actually, bestseller.
Wonderful.
It's a bestseller in quite a few countries, and we have, if you want to go more deeply into this, we have an online training program, the World Peace Diet Facilitator Training Program. We have a whole network of people, actually, all over the world who are actually teaching these principles in their local communities, because what we feel is that this is a grassroots movement
Yes.
based on loving kindness and compassion
Yes.
and sharing beauty. My wife Madeline is a visionary artist from Switzerland, and she's a painter and paints animals, showing the beauty of them, celebrating their lives. And I think that's really it. It's really about celebrating our lives together. We don't have to, as Buckminster Fuller said, he said, if you have a system that's obsolete and corrupt and damaging, you don't have to attack it and try to tear it down. Just create an alternative.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing. We're creating an alternative.
Yes.
Vegan food is delicious and
Yes.
nutritious and sustainable. And we can, I just encourage everyone to grow your own food, to create cooperative local communities, and support each other in creating this new world.
Thank you.
It's a better world. You're welcome.
Thank you, discerning audience, for coming to Evolve Talk and listening to this. Please spread the word that there's things happening here in Tallahassee. Wonderful teachers and guides and visionaries and pioneers are coming here and are here. You'll be seeing more of us. Thanks again.